The Lord has a plan. Can I just say that to you? The Lord has a plan in all of this. I know you don't see it now. I know you don't understand it now. I know you are clueless. You are out of ideas. But when you're out of ideas, the Lord still has a plan. The Lord always has a plan for his people, a plan of deliverance, a plan of favor, a plan of breakthrough, a plan of healing, a plan. The Lord has a plan in this for you. And it's a better plan, better than the one that you have in mind. The Lord has a plan, better than the one anyone could plan for you. God has a plan. In all of the uncertainty, God has a plan. So don't watch the uncertainties around you or in your life. Just know God has a plan. I've started to develop this attitude now where once I know God has a plan, I have no need to worry. I keep telling myself, God, if you allow this, if I'm in this, I'm going to trust your plan for my life. A lot of times the issues that we face is because, or the concerns and the worry and the why we are doubtful is because we believe God has a plan for everyone else but us. You have to believe that the Lord has a plan for you. So while you're believing the plan of God for others, you have to include yourself. God, I'm included in your plan, and this plan is going to work for me in my favor to prosper me and not to harm me. God has a plan. I don't know what you're faced with. I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what it is that's happening to your life, happening to you presently. God has a plan. Don't focus on what you can't figure out. Just believe God has a plan. What you know is not all there is to know. And that is what's discouraging many of us. We think what we know is all there is to know. And we don't even know what's around the corner. We don't know what God is up to. We don't know what could shift or change in the next moment. God has a plan. If you don't remember anything that I've said today, just remember that God has a plan and you're included. God has a plan and you better include yourself. He knows his plans. And if you trust him, you'll know them too. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. God has a plan. The Lord has a plan for your future in all of this. So when you're planning out your present, the Lord is saying, hold on, I'm doing present and future at the same time. I have a plan. What you think you know could be what has been discouraging you, for it can only go so far and no further. It can only see so much and no more. God has a plan because God is able to see around the corner. He's able to see everything that you can't see. Trust God with your plan. Trust God with the plan for your life. Trust God with his plan. God has a plan. God has a plan. What you think you already know is what has been discouraging you and talking you out of the plan God has for you. For you just cannot see beyond this. Have you ever been in a situation where I don't see how it's gonna turn, not knowing that God has a plan to turn it? Have you ever really allowed the plan of God to just go through and flow in your life? And when you really see how God planned this thing out, it blows your mind to know that you were over on the other side, worrying about how you're going to cross over. But when you do cross over in the plan of God, it's just so amazing how the Lord worked it out. I'm so happy that the Lord has a plan, not just for me, not just for everyone else, but for you. And you have to believe that plan too is for you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's not over yet. You have not seen all there is to see yet. It may not even start yet, and we're calling it done. God has a plan. You don't have to surrender to the plan of the enemy in this, for God has a plan and he's faithful enough that he will not allow you to be tempted beyond that which you can bear, but he's going to provide a way of escape. Oh yes, he will. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13, he will provide a way, for he has a plan that this thing will not go above what you can bear. And if anything should happen, there's going to be a way of escape. The Lord has a plan in a believer. The Lord has a plan in all of this. You don't have to know everything in order to trust the plan of God. Don't let your limited knowledge discourage you. God, I'm going to trust you. A lot of times we condemn ourselves based on what we already know, and we don't even know the plan of God yet. But just know this one thing, that the plan of God is to prosper you. So don't give up. Don't back off. Don't walk away from this thing, not knowing what could be in the plan of God for you as it relates to this. The Lord knows something that you don't know yet. He knows something. He sees something that you haven't seen yet. And he sees where it's not over yet for you. He sees where this is going to turn for your good. He sees something bigger. Understand that when you can only see one thing, the Lord sees everything. And I think that is one of the things that really encouraged me even more, that the Lord sees everything when I can only see one thing. I can only see one side of it. I can only see it this way. Lord sees everything. He goes to the highest of the highest. He goes to the deepest of the deepest. He knows everything. You cannot outlive God's plan. God's plan can outlive you. Because even when you're no longer around, the plan of God is still working for you. Your children are being blessed. Your children are being blessed. That's how it works. The Lord has a plan in this, a plan of salvation, a plan of elevation, a plan of deliverance. Come on, tell yourself, a plan of healing, a plan of victory, a plan of freedom, a plan of rejoicing, a plan of future, a plan of prosperity, a plan of peace. There is a God plan in this. The situation is not just there. Whatever you face today, remember that God has a plan. Jesus told Peter that the enemy has asked to sift you. The devil has asked to sift you as wheat. But here's a plan, Peter. This is the plan, Peter. I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail you. I have a plan. I have prayed for you, Peter, that your faith will not fail you, for I have a plan. The plan is that your faith will not fail you, for I have prayed for you. And and when you are converted, come and strengthen the others. Luke 22:31-32. For I know that my plan of prayer is going to prosper over you. So you're going to be converted and you're going to be of strength to others. The fact that the Lord already prayed for you, you have to come through. He knows you have to turn around. The breakthrough has to come. It has to be prosperous for you, for the Lord prayed for you. No matter what you face, the Lord has a plan, and you're going to come out all right. You're going to come out all right. No matter what you face, you're going to come out all right. That ministry is going to be okay. That thing that you're bawling over, you'd be surprised how the Lord has already planned it out. That assignment that the Lord has given you, He has a plan to sustain you. If you stay in the plan of God, you'll stay in the protection and provision of God. If you stay in the plan of God, you'll stay where God can sustain you. He told Joshua, just as I was with Moses, I'll be with you. I'll never leave you and I'll never forsake you. Just be confident in this. Be courageous and strong in this. Joshua 1:5-6. God has a plan. The 3 Hebrew boys said to the king, oh, we cannot bow. We just cannot do it. We serve a God with a plan. And even if you choose to do what you're going to do, King Nebuchadnezzar, or God will deliver us. There's always a plan of deliverance for God's people. No matter the situation they find themselves in, there's always a plan of deliverance for you. Tell yourself that now, because that's the thing. We need to start encouraging ourselves in this regard. There is a plan of deliverance for me. Every time I find myself in a situation, I say, God, there is a plan of deliverance for me. There is a plan of deliverance. There is a plan. For my God is never out of plans. When I'm out of ideas, he still has plans. When I'm clueless, he still has a plan. When I don't know what to do, God still has a plan. He's a sure deliverer. Don't watch the uncertainties, for uncertainties will come. But know that more than ever, God has a plan. From before the foundation of the earth, this plan was made. From before the foundations of the earth, this plan was made. He has chosen us. From before you were formed, Jeremiah, He has chosen you and called you. Look here, the plan has set long before you. Don't take the plan of God lightly. It will move from generation to generation. Long after you're gone, the plan lives on, still prospering and benefiting those attached to you, Abraham. For your seed shall be blessed too. When you run out of ideas, God is still pulling on his plan to prosper you. If you feel trapped, if there's a plot, if there's a scheme, the plan of God is there to deliver you. God has a plan of deliverance. Someone needed to hear this. Joseph, they may have sold you, but go on to Egypt, for I have a plan in Egypt for you. Sometimes the enemy thinks that they're doing you wrong. They don't know that they're aligning you to your destiny, for your God always has a plan. Always has a plan. And no matter what comes your way, whether it surprises you, it never surprised God. And he knows how to plan with it, around it, and through it. Go ahead, Joseph. They're going to sold you. Your brothers that you trust are going to sold you. They're going to sell you into slavery. You're going to be sold. But know that I have a plan in Egypt for you. I have a plan in Egypt for you. You're going to go to Egypt, but there's a plan of elevation for you. For believer, you must know this, that there is always a plan for you. There's always a plan of deliverance for you. No matter where you find yourself, no matter in what situation you find yourself, there's always a plan of elevation for you. There's always a plan of freedom, a plan of deliverance for you. The Lord wants you to know this, that right now, today, that there's a plan in that uncertainty. His plan is going to prosper in it. His plan is what's going to pull you through. God has a plan, but he wants you to believe in that plan. That in spite of it all, he has a plan. I'm so happy that God has a plan. And it's the plan of God why I'm here. It's the plan of God why I made it. It's because of the plan of God. And you have to trust the plan of God over your life too. You're going to make it because God has a plan. You're going to be delivered for God has a plan. Hallelujah.